Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're going to be revisiting the drill down choropleth. I have to admit that I almost feel like a detective, like trying to track down a serial killer with all of this. But I think I've gotten to the real culprit behind all of this. I guess you could say. Along the way I'll be showing you some tips and tricks and getting to the root of this mystery. But as you recall from Murder Most Foul, a recent video I did, basically this individual was like all of a sudden their drill down coropleth stopped working. Um, and they went to go look and they, like, oh, I'll just get the visual again from the app source, and it was gone from app source. That was the kind of the crux of the last video. Um, so I started doing some investigation around this. And it turns out the drill down choropleth isn't it's one in a series of murdered custom visuals, if you will. So let's take a look at this, and you can see here. So there's a number of these visuals out there. So if you go out to Microsoft's GitHub repository, you can find these, right? So here's one like Power BI Visuals Choropleth. And all the ones that seem to have been killed off are all the ones that use like a very old version of the API. You can see what version of the API it's using a lot in some cases. Anything like this one's using API version 1.6.0, right? And if you go to the README on this and then you click on this link, you get a 404, right? So the same thing with this Visuals DB scan. You take a look at the config here. It's using 1.7, which is the same version of the API that the choropleth, the drill down choropleth uses. And again, if you go to README and click on the link, you again get a 404. And then the same one with this decision tree. Again, it's also using 1.6. And if you go to the README and you click on the decision tree, you also get a 404. So I started doing some research on this. I went into the Wayback Machine, and the last time that I can definitely show that the choropleth, the drill down choropleth visual was alive, was on December 6th of 2022. After that, like if you go out to, this is from like October of 2023, from the Wayback Machine, and you click on Maps and Power BI Visuals, Power Platform. Right, the drill down choropleth doesn't show up. And I think this one is from 2024, May, same thing. I can't find it after 2022, right? So somewhere along the line, Microsoft killed off these visuals from the app source. But what was really kind of bugging me around this whole thing was that it shouldn't matter, right? And that's what I ended up having a conversation with SIC coding, SIC coding 89, which was down here. Still trying to wrap my head around it. I thought that when you had a custom visual that saves it into the PBX file, right? So this is what should happen. So as you can see here, if you take, like I created it using the pulse chart, just a custom visual from Microsoft. I created pulse chart test 1 and test 2. Test 1 loaded it from app source. Test 2 loaded it from a file. So I actually, got the file and, imported it from there. All right. So the way it works, the way custom visuals work is that when you do that, so if you rename it to a zip file, right? So PBX is just a zip file. If you rename it from a PBX to a zip file, you can actually go into the file itself and see everything, right? So if I go down here to report, then I'll see custom visuals, and then there's my pulse chart, right? And if I go in here, then there in the resources, then there is actually the PBI viz file, right? So you could actually save this off. And if you like, even though it's dead from app source, if you have a file that used any kind of custom visual that you want to continue using, right, then you can actually rename that PBX file to a zip file or just copy it to a zip file. Go in there and you can extract the actual PBI viz, and then you can actually import it using, 3 ellipses and then from a file, right? So that's how even though Microsoft has killed these things, you can resurrect them that way, right? Another way that you can resurrect them is if you go to, that's not the right one. I got to go to this one. If you go to Pragmatic Works, Pragmatic Works actually has, if you search for Power BI custom visual, drill down core plus this blog article on Pragmatic Works comes up. And if you click on this link, actually, it takes you to a file share where they've actually, it looks like they've gone through and either compiled or saved off all the different PBI viz files. So you can see that the drill down core plus is here. So that's another way that you can, grab that same file and get it and use it in the future if you want. One thing I did try, and I'll be covering this in a separate video, is if you go down to the drill down core plus in GitHub, you can download, right? You can download the whole thing, the zip. I tried to recompile this. It did not like that whatsoever because it was using an old API. I tried to hack my way around it. Still wasn't able to get there. So much easier, just go out to Pragmatic Works and get the PBI viz file from there. Or you can go and import or do what I said with the whole copy it from a PBX to a zip file and go and extract the file from there as well. So what happened? What is the root cause for this? Well, as it turns out, I found in the issues log, if I can find it, this WebView 2 update broke app source visuals rendering. Okay, so basically a bunch of custom visuals from app source were all having problems on that day, on apparently Friday at least, if not before. Now Microsoft is coming down through here. They come through like, yep, the fix has been deployed. And I think this says, yeah, so this was, well, it says 26.0.2592.113. I think there's actually supposed to be a 1 in front of that. And they said, like, oh, we found a fix for it and we've deployed it, and you may have to restart Power BI a couple times. But it's kind of interesting because if you actually go into your add remove programs and you look at your WebView 2, you can figure out what version you're on. So in this case, I am on the version that had problems, right? 126.0.2592.113, which is that with a 1 in front of it. And I'm pretty sure they just missed that 1. So it's not necessarily the version, but it's some kind of configuration, if you will, with WebView 2 that must download, I guess, from somewhere. It's be interesting. I wish there were a little more descriptive in terms of how these problems were. But apparently there was like Fabric support and status. So if you go there, you follow that link, you get, this is where it says, oh yeah, everything's hunky-dory, at least right now. But there is this known issues link. And if you click on this, provides a little Power BI report of all things. But even though it says Power BI is all hunky-dory, these are all known issues that are currently, and I guess this is the only place to find out about this kind of stuff, I guess. But yeah, look, I mean, like Python and R visuals don't work in Fabric capacity. Portable can't sign into the service for some clouds. So even though they report that, yes, Power BI service is great, there's all these issues that are known issues. They have now, some of them are fixed. What I don't see out there, to be perfectly honest, and I've searched for it, I haven't found it, is that actual WebView issue, right? They point you here, and you can see some of these things are a month old, right? But there's nothing that actually, this one's been broken for 2 years, right? So yeah, it's just a mystery to me in terms of why they would point you here if they didn't actually show you, right? Unless this isn't where you're supposed to find out about this stuff. So I don't know. It's a mystery to me in terms of like I think it's just a failure of communication to a large degree in terms of these kinds of problems that occur. They just don't seem to be reported on very well. And there's not a lot of information coming out of Microsoft about this issue. They just basically say, oh yeah, we fixed it, and they point you here. but you can't actually find any more detail around it in terms of why it was broken or how it broke, or like maybe this isn't the right, maybe there's a separate WebView 2 um, area that we could go to and figure out what happened. But anyway, so what happened is I think at the end of the day, something about WebView 2, about that version, about some configuration, because I am running the version that's not supposed to work, but all my custom visuals work. So it's not necessarily just the version of WebView 2. It's some kind of configuration, I guess, with that version of WebView 2 that they released and broke this stuff. Um, it's not clear at all what's going on. So yeah, I don't know. It's fixed. So I think what happened is that broke. We went in, and the person went out, tried to find the visual out there in the app source. It was gone. That led us down a whole rabbit hole that we probably didn't need to go down. But hopefully everyone learned a little bit of something about this in terms of, hey, how you can extract your PBI viz files from your PBX files and all of that, right? Because that's just the way it's supposed to work, right? There should be nothing that ties your PBX file and your visuals back to the app source, right? They should be able to delete it from the app source and should have no effect on anything, which is a good thing. So that's really all I had for this video. We just wanted to kind of close the loop on this whole mystery, and hopefully I've done that. So that's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.